Hey, 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 it is Monday. It is 6 p.m. and we are back with another amazing episode of Create Your Future Self Live. I am Laquita Monley and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Mr. Victor, the Don of Nico Don Projects. And we have a super powerful guest with us today. Her name is Miss Lynn DelGaudio. She is absolutely amazing. It's been a long time. She's been on the show previously, and it's been almost 10, 11 months since
10 months.
since she's been on. And so we're excited to have her on again tonight. And she's going to be dropping some pearls of wisdom. So you guys get out your pencils, get out your pen, get out your paper. Because as my pastor says, paper don't forget, pencil don't forget. Write it down, you will have it locked in. And she's going to share some stuff with us tonight. As always, you guys that are joining us across Facebook, we thank you so much. Periscope, YouTube, Twitter. Thank you guys for joining. Please go ahead and take this opportunity to hit those like and share buttons. If you're joining us on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button if it's your first time joining us. If not, thank you for coming back again. And as always, we are here to communicate with you, and we would love for you guys to communicate with us. Get in those comment section. Let us know what's on your mind and what you're thinking. Hey, that was a whole mouthful. I got to take a drink of water.
Oh, you just fabulous. Excellent.
Well done.
Good stuff, Laquita. Yep. And I'm Victor Vinico Johnson, Nico Don Projects, and 555 Equity. So enough about us. Lynn DelGaudio, it's been like almost a year since we had you on. How has your year been?
Oh, that's a loaded question. No, it's been a year, all right. It's been a year. It feels like 5 years. I feel like I've weathered. I feel like I've aged about a decade in the last year. It's all right, though. It's all right.
You and the rest of us out there for sure. I remember last year we were digging into mental health and people dealing with trauma. I mean, man, I'm sure you had quite a bit of clientele in this last year, people dealing with trauma, things that they didn't even realize they had going on. And I'm sure you had quite a bit of experience dealing with that with your clientele. Have you, or maybe not?
Increasingly so. Increasingly so, because I think at first, we were like, yeah, we can sit on the couch for a few weeks. And then we were like, well, okay, it's going to be a little longer. And then, this is kind of annoying, but, I can deal with it. And then, toward the holidays, people were just getting, nap. But since, November, December, a real market difference. So it's getting a lot more challenging. And, it doesn't help when we're consuming ourselves, we're over consuming the social media and the fear-based media. And so we just need some tools and tricks on how to, keep this really healthy.
Mm-hmm. Something real powerful right then. Fear-based media. That's one of the biggest truths I've heard today, because that's exactly what happens in our need to consume information and want to know all of the goings-ons, as my grandmother would say. Sometimes, all the time, I don't think a lot of us are aware that media at large is pumping in fear into us to drive us in a particular direction. And that's not conspiracy, that's fact. Companies hire experts in particular industries to encourage people to buy their products, and the media is no different. What would you tell
that's their model. Their whole model is fear, uncertainty, doubt. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. So it's a lot less to do with the truth than maybe it used to be in the Walter Cronkite days, and maybe even then it was fear, uncertainty, doubt. But it's all about fear, because the brain reacts to those negative emotions, those fear-based emotions, way more quickly, and that's what gets ratings, unfortunately. But there's two sides of the coin, and they call it TV programming for a reason, right? And I started to refer to the TV as CVNN, the Coronavirus News Network, because for months on end, that's all we heard about, right? But, faith and fear are kind of the same thing, in that they're both kind of beliefs that we can't see. So
Mhm.
there's two sides of course that, you know, faith is going to get you through. Fear is going to let you down and shut you down all the way.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's super powerful. You're absolutely right. It's like that's what the media is there for. The I can't get that word out. Sensationalized. Thank you so much.
COVID brain.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened to me. And it's like they want you to. And we had a ton of that stuff this last year from the number count, trying to keep up with how many people died, how many people got it. You know, then we had the whole stuff with social unrest, and we had, you know, cities going up in fire and smoke and all these things. And then you had this political season, the politicians and all of that fear-based marketing that they do around that. And so what would be, I already know kind of your answer, but what would you say to somebody out there that's the first time that they've heard that, like, oh my God, the media might be helping me be so fearful. What would you tell them to do?
Turn it off. Turn it off. Just turn the dang thing off. Shut it off. And breathe. I mean, gosh, you know, typically we have pre-COVID, think about like stock market volatility 1 week, right? And that's like the big news story, right? And then maybe a few weeks go by and then there's like a huge natural disaster coming. And then a few weeks go by and I'm like, God, there's not been another mass shooting. Just one thing at a time. Now we've got physical threats, emotional threats, financial threats, you know, all at such a rapid pace that like it's so hard for our little brains to process what's going on. And you know what? All that crap is gonna be there tomorrow. And like it's like, you know, if you ever watch like Days of Our Lives or one of these soap operas, right? And you put it down for like 5 years and you pick it up and you're like, oh God, the Stefano DiMera is still like freaking
out. Has passed since Victor Newman married this next one. Right?
I mean, all that garbage is going to be there tomorrow. So leave the fear, breathe through it, and go to faith. And let me tell you something: you can only be in one region of your brain at once. That's called the Eplerian effect. I spoke with Dr. Epler from Harvard Medical about this. And so when we're in fear, when we're feeling like we're a victim or we're self-judging, or I should have done this, or could have done what, and we're in anxiety, when we're in those like the amygdala and the PCC, we don't grow, we don't heal, and we shut down our immune system. And so we cannot. So you got to step back, you know, call a friend, go to church, sing a song, like breathe, meditate, whatever you need to do to shift yourself out of those regions, because it wreaks havoc on the central nervous system, and your CNS, I mean, impacts all your organs. It impacts everything. So you just got to put it down.
Yeah.
Social media too.
I love that answer. And you're so right. I remember when my husband went on his first tour to Iraq, and everywhere we turned, it was news about the conflict. You know, who was captured, who was killed, what's this count, what's that count, you know, what places were being attacked, you know. And I had to do what you said. I didn't know about it, you know, the technical aspects of it affecting my central nervous system, but looking at it, it made me nervous and upset. My children would then in turn be nervous and upset if I was nervous and upset. So turn that doggone thing off. Turn it off.
Well,
I'm not listening to it. I'm not looking at it. If there's anything of great importance, Ben would have told me. Because if it was anything of great importance, Ben would have told me. And our occasional FRG meetings, anything that I really needed to know. And so I tried to keep that away from my kids as much as possible, even to the point where I asked their teachers, don't talk to them about that. Don't, because it's not helpful. And when you said shut it off, I couldn't have had a better answer. Shut this stuff off, because if like a report came out today about 500,000 people died from COVID-19, how many lived?
Thank you.
Well, that even is a question. How many died?
How many lived? How many recovered? So
yeah. You know what? Let's talk about that. And you know, the mortality rate has stayed the same. So when we hear cases, that's actually a good thing, because it's not, the mortality rate is still very, 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 it's a 99.8 survival rate overall, you know? But I want to just say something about I think what, I mean, we tend to normalize stress, right? And so we kind of get conditioned to it. And those stressful reactions can create so much momentum in our bodies that we don't even know we're under stress until we're having a severe physical response to it. So can I share? I have like 3 go-tos to identify when you're.
Yes.
Please.
So here are my 3 top tips. One is somatic responses. So if you're just walking down the street, and you have to like tune in, you got to try to be aware. You're walking down the street, you're having a day, everything's going along fine, and then all of a sudden you just like feel something in your throat, chest, gut, whatever. Your shoulders are up in your ears, and you're like, what? Check in, because there's some faulty thinking going on that's creating a stress response in our body. That's one. So are you watching? And even if you've got the TV on over there, you're in the kitchen watching, my TV is, and you're washing dishes, and you don't think, and that's still going in the program, even though, because we've got eyelids, but we don't have earlids. So that stuff is going right into the subconscious. So that's one. Somatic responses. 2, our emotions are an amazing indicator of when something's out of alignment up here. So again, you have a good day, and all of a sudden you feel sad, anxious, fearful, whatever it is. Again, something is gaining some momentum. Let's try to figure out what it is. And if you can't, just breathe. Just calm yourself down. And then the last one is meditation, because when we are just alone with our thoughts, you tend to, those things on your brain are coming right through. So those are my top 3 go-tos for that.
So I got the somatic responses, right? That's like check in when you can tell there's some stress that's like laying on your body, usually that shoulder, right?
Yeah.
So how are you spelling that?
SOMATIC. No, SO and not SO. Because a lot of our stress will be carried like in the neck and the shoulder. And I had this client once where her biggest health concern was this pain in her shoulder. And in our first meeting, I was asking her about her family, and she was describing her family and her 2 beautiful daughters. And she just started crying because she had severed their relationship with those daughters. It was creating so much stress. And as she was talking, I could see her posture, and then she was rubbing her shoulder. And so all of the stress was creating a really serious physical problem that was going to require, a doctor's attention. So yeah, so somatic response, emotions, and meditation.
Gotcha.
Awesome. And these are. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to bring into play her book, but go ahead and touch on that because I know people are like writing this down. Somatic responses, emotions are great indicators in meditation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you're working with a client and you're able to notice what you did before, what is some of the things, what are like maybe one nugget that you teach clients and how to recognize these things in themselves? Like, how do I focus on that to kind of determine what I'm about to do? I'm about to have a meltdown. What do I need to do?
All right, so here's a couple things that come to mind. So first, just so people can see the shift, if you take 30 seconds, and you guys out there in the audience, if you want to do this while I'm talking, close your eyes and think about something that's really annoying. Not something that's really overly stressful, please, but just something that's really annoying. I don't care if it's a coworker or boss or your neighbor or CBN or whatever. And you think about, and it, like, you feel that tension in your body. Okay, and then you just like let that go. And then if you switch and you think about like a brand new puppy licking your face, or the ocean, or maybe your firstborn, or whatever it is that just like calms and brings you joy and peace. I mean, there's an immediate shift in the body. And so when we can start to recognize that our thoughts create either, adrenaline and cortisol and bad feelings in the body. Mm-hmm. And right now, I think a bunch of us have an excess or adrenaline, and that's dangerous. Anyway, or if we have the good feeling thoughts that produce the good feeling in the body, you can see the immediate shift. So that gets them to start thinking. And then, but that was not your question. What was the question?
How do you get your clients to recognize these things or to utilize these three things? Like, first, they got to recognize the issue, and in order to be able to do anything about correcting it, what is something that you tell them to do to begin to recognize that?
So so if you are, let's say, everyday circumstances or events, like you're getting stressed out over a deadline. Okay, stop and ask yourself, what is it about the deadline? What are you afraid of? If you're afraid you're going to miss it, and just start asking, so what? What if you miss it? Well, you might, lose the job. Really? Well, okay, let's go with that. You might lose your job. So what? Well, you want a paycheck. So what? So I won't be able to pay my bills. So what? And you keep like peeling that, and then you're finally like, whoa, wait a minute. Reality test. Mm-hmm. Have I ever missed a deadline? Maybe. I don't remember. Did you lose your job because of it? No. Have you ever been out of work? Yeah. Did you miss your bills? No, I figured it out. So where's this coming from? It's a limiting belief. We made it up. These are limiting beliefs, because a lot of these thoughts that are faulty, that are unserving us, come from poor belief systems that we developed, from the third trimester in the womb to the time we're 7. And if you say something out loud, that, I had a client once, and she was saying something under breath. I said, there's limiting belief here. What is it? She said, I'm afraid that people are going to see me fail. And I could feel her like throat contracting. And I said, okay, how does that feel when you say that? She said, it feels awful. I said, and why? She said, because it's not true. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's not true. So, sometimes, and I always start with awareness. And we may sit with a client and just learning how to become aware for 3 weeks. It might be a week. But the more, I've got tons of exercises in my book, but the more we can become aware, like after my injury, a traumatic brain and spinal cord injury, I was alone with my thoughts. I was kind of in this forced meditative state. So when people would call me and scream and yell on the phone, like, oh my God, this is horrible. You're never going to run again. What are you going to do? Aren't you mad? And I literally could feel the brain swell in my head. I was, fanning, headache, nausea, dizziness, like I was traumatizing myself. And but this is really, you don't need a traumatic brain injury. Stressful thinking, stress in itself can cause inflammation in the brain and body. So I was fortunate in that I got immediate feedback from my body, which we all do, mm-hmm. But I had a heightened sensitivity to it, right? And so that helped me along. And then I realized I don't have to. So in those moments, I said, okay, this is bad, making me feel bad. I want to feel good. I'm going to think about an ocean. Mm-hmm. And then I began to realize I don't have to replace negative. If there's no negative, I can just select what I want to think about. And every given moment of any day, I have control over my thinking. So the more that we can make positive thinking a habit, mm-hmm. and change our neuroplasticity and change how our neurons are wired, we, literally change the brain, yep. And create that new habit. That's what we got to do. And appreciation, the practice of appreciation is huge. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. No, that was very valuable information. The key that I heard there is not only the awareness, but the ability to take action on what you just observed and shift it.
Yes.
Like in the moment, like not wait, when I get home, I'm going to meditate on it. No, recognize it at that moment. Make a decision to change your thought pattern at that moment. And usually it will take you out of that little slump or that negative feeling. Or, people wake up a lot of times, go to work, they're carrying this bad day on them. A lot of times because you were watching, what do you call it, CVNN or
the
first thing you got is the news, and 7 people got shot last night and 10 more people died of COVID. Like, how are you going to start your day with that and make it a great day?
So and then by the time you get to work, you're like a frantic mess, and you're like, oh, my job sucks, my life sucks. No, you're thinking.
You have 2 cups of coffee.
Exactly.
And so also just one thing, like it is like you said, it's a shift. So if you're in high anxiety, don't expect that you're going to get the joy in a second. Just reach for better feeling thought and stick with it and milk it. and then get a better feeling thought from there, and then sit with that for 10 or 20 seconds if you can, and move. You know, we're always on a spectrum of mental wellness or mental health, and you know, because we hear mental health, we tend to think of the really substantive, serious issues, but all of us are just somewhere along the spectrum, right? Just like our physical health.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what's the name of your book, Lynn?
What's that?
The name of your book?
Altered on Impact.
I was actually just about to introduce that. Please give me the opportunity to do that. Because, you know, we jumped in, like, because you're a veteran, everybody just knows you already. But for those that are newer to the Create Your Future Self Live family or didn't happen to tune in that one particular week last year. So Lynn DelGaudio has written a book called Altered on Impact, which is a personal story from how she went from a traumatic situation of basically a brain injury, and it taught her to have a more purposeful life. So you want to talk a little bit more about that, Lynn?
Yeah, so I started, like I said, just with the awareness of how my thoughts were affecting my body. And I didn't know a soul, you guys. Like, I was new to this area. Try getting through a traumatic brain and spinal cord injury on your own. You learn to ask for help wicked fast. But because it was just, you know, my thoughts, became very aware of how my thinking impacted how my physical body felt. So I was relying solely on the communication system between brain and body, and then reacting accordingly. That's all I had to go on. And then I realized, you know, all I can do is what feels good. And so I was literally doing these simple little exercises to shift my thoughts. And then somebody called one day and said, "Thank gosh you were doing the rear pull downs at the gym instead of the front," because the whole system snapped, and that's how I got injured. If it had been the front pull downs, you probably would be dead. And I'm like, well, I never thought of that, but thanks for bringing that up. So I'm gonna like sit in appreciation for all that I have, you know. And then I'm like, this kind of feels good, this appreciation thing. And then I started like developing these little exercises of appreciation, and I just kind of was intuitively developing all these tricks and tools for my own healing, and it brought me to this place of unbelievable bliss, and this place where I had so much. And when we do challenge our beliefs that don't do us any good, we tear down, like you were mentioning, Victor, like, you know, you get in this mood and, you know, you get to work and you're in this mood. Well, if you don't take care of that mood, that will create a temperament. And if you don't take care of that temperament, that's going to become a personality trait. But we all have these personality traits that are based on these belief systems that are typically not true. So like what happens to us over time through conditioning and external expectations in media is we kind of get pulled away from that spirit of who we came here to be. So this whole process kind of like it closed that gap between that persona Lynn and that real true spirit that I came here to be. And it actually made me I almost swore, sorry, a lot more productive at work. Like I was no longer procrastinating because I caught myself in the belief right before I pushed everything to the side. I was like, oh, I got this. No. That's just faulty thinking happening. Yeah. And my boss actually pulled me aside one day and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I've been watching you. You're really happy. You're really productive. It was pre-merger. It was chaos. He's like, I want to know what you're doing. And it was just all these things that were helping me heal that actually made me even more productive in work.
Wow. Our thought process and the way we perceive things has a huge impact on how we perform in everyday life. If you're not thinking, as we say, if we're not thinking about those things that are just and lovely, then you're not going to be able to behave in that manner. So if you are not having good thoughts, positive thoughts, you won't be able to behave in that manner. And I really love the way that you were able to overcome your injuries through changing the way that you think. Yes, your body had to physically heal, but what I hear you saying is when you begin to mentally heal, it helped speed up the recovery of your physical healing.
Yes, and it was everything because, again, you know, the central nervous system and your body believes every word you tell it. So when I used to envision like who I wanted to be on the other side of this. I
Mhm.
wanted to be whole. I didn't even want to introduce, I was very careful with words. I didn't even want to introduce the word pain into the sentences, right? So I just wanted to be whole. I wanted to feel vibrant, and I had this vision, and I was trying to like feel that emotion and align an emotion with my intention, because
Mhm.
that creates a memory in the body. And so your body has no idea if it's happened already, or if you're making it up and using your imagination.
Right.
So when people say it's just your imagination, hey, imagination is so underrated. We all need to practice that more. So if you're watching too much of that, pretend you're on a cruise
Yeah.
and
Yes.
feel the salt water and feel the
Yeah.
waves and feel the
People
ocean.
underestimate the power of that subconscious mind, you know, talking to it before you go to sleep, talking to it when you first wake up,
Yes, that's a huge
and
one.
let it direct your steps, you know,
Yeah.
very powerful
Absolutely.
move. Yep. Unfortunately, ladies, I do have to drop it at this point. I got to head to another appointment, but Lynn, please let me know when your upcoming podcast. I know you're jumping around to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in a few of those. Sounds like just like everybody, we could all use some mental guidance on how we can make the best of our life. So thank you again for joining us. Laquita, you got it from here, I'm sure. Thank you. And again, I apologize. I got to jump right now. Talk
We'll
to you
see you
soon.
next time.
Okay.
See you next time, Vic.
All right.
So Vic made a great segue into my next question, actually. When your upcoming event, online program, Get Unstuck and Powered Up. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so a lot of, I get this comment so often, and I used to say it myself, that I just feel like something's missing, and yeah, there is something missing. It's you, Like when I would say to myself, I feel like, yeah, there's something missing. It's me, because we tend to live our lives for everybody else, and we put
Mhm.
ourselves last. And in doing so, you kind of forget who we are.
Mhm.
And that will create a feeling of stuckness in our
Mhm.
work, in our family. And so this program is all about helping people, gain awareness of these patterns that are holding them back. I've got a lot of tips on, getting rid of those energy drains that are like we don't know that we're doing every day, or that are sapping energy from us, and then crowd those out with those things that make us feel robust. So we go through some of the things we just talked about. We talk about having inspired action, and even following those little breadcrumbs where a whim or something that comes up and you feel inspired to act. It might seem weird to the analytical mind, but
Mhm.
act on it, because that is going to lead you to really beautiful places. So it's all about getting your sense of like vigor back, your sense of purpose, your productivity will go up. Just a lot about inner power. That power that lies within, that we all have, that we seem to shut down.
Mhm.
And get get fierce again. So
Yeah.
we want people to really, regain their mojo and get powered up and get back into life.
Good actor. The title of the program is powerful in and of itself. Get unstuck, because you can't power up if you're stuck.
Now, if you've got 2 feet in the mud,
You can't move forward. Just stuck right there. It's stagnation.
Yeah.
That's a huge stagnation is a huge killer of dreams and hopes and visions.
It is. Yeah.
A huge killer of dreams and hopes and visions. So I really love that title, because once you're unstuck, you can definitely power up. There's nothing to stop you from moving forward once you get unstuck. So I'm looking forward to that online program. It says you're going to be launching that in March, correct? No, yes, in March.
Yeah, it'll be the end of March. Yeah, I don't have a definitive date yet, but it'll be follow it on my website, LynnDelGaudio.com. And I'm very active on LinkedIn. So once I have a firm date, I should get that in the next week or so. Once I have a firm date, I'll be taking. We'll be having people sign up. I think I have a ghost in my place, because my printer has been down for 4 days, and it just decided it's going to print everything. Anyways.
You need to come. It needs to be ready. So another thing that I did want you to elaborate on for us is Nami. Talk to us about Nami. that our discussion about Nami and how powerful that organization is super important because I am in the military community. My husband is a veteran. I have uncles that are veterans, tons of veterans in my city. And so we deal with the real life issues associated with TBI, PTSD. And it's not only something that's, relevant here in the military community, it's relevant, period. But let's talk about that so that if we have any guests that are viewing now or later and they need that information, please go ahead and share some more information about NAMI and how you're working with them.
So NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and there are local chapters. They're national 501c3. They do so much. They're dedicated to really improving lives of people who are touched by mental illness. And again, they recognize that it's a spectrum. They actually do a lot of work with veterans and veterans' families as well. What I'm doing with NAMI at Durham here is I'm going to be doing, because of my experience with TBI, and I'm going to be doing a program of food and non-food nourishment for TBI, because, I talk a lot about the mind style, because we hear coaches every day talk about, and doctors, your lifestyle, right? And we're so physically focused on what do we do? We're going to eat better. We're going to work out. We're going to, your brain and not even your brain does, but your mind needs certain nourishments as well. And so I define the mind style as the manner in which, in the practice of how we think. It's lifestyle for the mind. So we are going to be talking about, food and non-food nourishment for TBI, because I'll tell you, after my injury, and I took, I'm still recovering. That was almost 7 years ago. The first 3 or 4 years were the hardest, and 30 some odd specialists, and not one person mentioned nutrition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, caregivers, and then there's this whole chronology of care. So if you're a brain injury, thriver, or if you're a caregiver, there's certain things you need to be aware of along the way. And you don't know what to ask because this is new.
Right.
And there's information out there, but the thing is, like, some of the information, there's a kind of a disconnect between all the information that's available and then what gets disseminated to the person that needs the most. So we're going to be talking about all of that. And then I'm going to do a couple community education programs. Also on TBI and PTSD, also from which I suffer. And I will tell you, a lot of people are being triggered by PTSD lately. And I myself included ended up in urgent care in January thinking I was having a heart attack, and it was a severe PTSD trigger. And I have lost my awareness, it happens to everybody, of that I was even being triggered. And it was pretty bad because I haven't had something like that in years. So, even me, Coach Lynn, I got to recognize when, oops, I have not been doing enough self-care myself. So that's pretty exciting. And so, I can help put you in touch with someone at NAMI if you'd like. They do wonderful things. So I'm really excited to be doing this work with them.
That's an amazing thing. That's truly an amazing thing. So to all of our viewers, please check out Nami or reach out to Lynn. I've dropped her contact information in our chat here. So you have her email address there, lynn@lynndelgaudio.com. We also have her LinkedIn profile link. Just click on that and message her. She does respond quickly. And we've also dropped in her website information, www.lynndelgaudio.com. Please, you guys go ahead and reach out to her. And at this time, we'll also be, if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to post, I see that we have been getting some great engagement here. And I'd like to thank you guys so much for that. Again, our Facebook audience, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitter, we thank you guys so much for your continued engagement and enjoyment in this program. Lynn, it's absolutely amazing to have you here. I can't get over the get unstuck to power up. That one. Yeah, that's a phrase right there. That's a phrase that people need to just process on it, meditate on.
And you and I have talked about this before. Before COVID, nearly 60% of us reported feeling paralyzed by fear,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and now post-COVID, 91% of people working remotely are having moderate to serious stress.
Mm-hmm.
That level of stress can create that like paralysis that a lot of us understand what that means. You know, and it's kind of like fight or freeze. And when we're so overwhelmed, sometimes we can't even, it's hard to do anything, you know, and even incorporating a little routine in your life, whether that's making your bed, you know, like something, and then celebrate it. You have to always celebrate it. But we're all feeling, I think a lot of people now are feeling stuck, and it's normal when we're under such stress and pressure. That's just the stress response.
We have a viewer that has a question. She wants to know if Nami is available to everyone. And
Yes.
also, how would you find out if Nami accepts your insurance provider?
So the things that I'm doing for Nami, I know that they're free to their members. So I would just check your local site, and we can, if Valerie wants to get in touch with me, I can answer her directly.
Okay.
But just go to my website, send me an email on Lynn at lynndelgaudio.com, and I will get back to you. But I know a lot of their stuff, it's all, you know, volunteer work. They're a 501c3. A lot of their stuff they do is, you know, funded through grants. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue, but I'll find out.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I see another one of our viewers here, Mr. Porterbell. He's excited about this information, and it is a timely subject matter. As Lynn said, a lot of people around the world were suffering from stress and depression and other issues prior to COVID, and having all of the things that happened as a result of COVID didn't help those stress levels. But I think I love to always try to find a positive in everything, and one of the positive that I've been able to draw out of this is where people, and especially in the workplace, there's such a big difference about American workforce versus workforces in other countries. I've had the pleasure to be a part of workforces in other countries, and being super stressed out is real. And in other countries, I have friends who were able to get the necessary sick leave and time off in order to power down, de-stress, come back healthier and stronger mentally and emotionally so that they can be more effective in their job. That's not always available to us here in America. But thanks to COVID, now it is. So a lot of people who were not able to get those issues addressed previously without negative repercussions on their jobs are now able to have some things addressed without negative repercussions. So I think that's a blessing there in and of itself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. You know, when we are looking at, you said you have some free ebooks coming out. Let's talk to us about some of these things that you have coming that will be really beneficial to those who reach out to you.
So I do have a big ebook that it's related to my program, but you can just get the free ebook once I get a firm date. So you'll get this, and it's really gives you, it's pretty long. It's 38 pages or 40 pages, and it gives you a good it gives you some exercises, and it gives you like the framework of what my overall program is going to follow. It's just kind of an abbreviated version of that 8-week program, and that program is going to be a group program. Excuse me. So 8 weeks, you know, live, and we'll have other resources. So you'll have like, you know, every week an hour with me. I may have one or two guest experts on there as well. And so that ebook will be available early March. So that's kind of a prelude to the program. And then I have another one on Blueprints for Wellbeing that you can still get for free, blueprintsforwellbeing.com, and it's called How to Stress. And this is just a tongue-in-cheek, you know, making fun of it, like pro tips and pro tools, like how, if you really want to amp up your stress, overdo it on social media. But then I give a tool for, you know what, here's my tool for come down off of social media, or, get really poor sleep. And then here's my tool for getting better sleep. So it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek approach to our stress, just to like put a light on it and say, here's what you could do on that topic to really bring it down. And diets too. A lot of people working from home, they're closer to the refrigerator and they're tempted.
Yeah, that COVID is real.
Yeah, you know what I do a lot for myself and for clients, I restage their refrigerator and I restage their pantry. So all, the fruits and vegetables on the bottom, those are all on top now. So when you open my refrigerator or a client, it's like all the greens and the vegetables on top and maybe a couple fruits. Next one down is like fruit and maybe some avocado, and then maybe some meat on the third, and then all that, whatever orange juice and whatever's on the bottom, the sugar and all the bad stuff. So, because when your eye, we want to try to crowd out. We don't want to get rid of the junk. We want to crowd it out with better things that are good for our brain and good for our stress. Because magnesium, there's certain foods that will really help in reducing our stress load.
Stress level. Yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about your website. Your website has some amazing content on it, guys. There's so much. I'm on our website now, and there's so much amazing content here on Lynn's website. A lot of the questions that we've been asked today, she has answers here. She has an amazing resource library of articles as well as videos. So please go out to her website, www.lynndelgaudio.com, and you'll be able to see these resources that she has. And I want to try and just share your website here just so they can get a look at some of the amazing content that you have. There we go.
Hey, who's that?
Yeah. When you go to our website, just click on the articles and the videos, and she has some amazing content. So a lot of the things that we've been discussing this evening, as well as some more, the tips on decreasing stress, 5 tips for strong immune system. And that's absolutely relevant. I mean, it's always been relevant, but now in this time of COVID, you want to make sure that your body is equipped for that fight. Changing your thinking and changing your environment. The 5 P's for taking control of procrastination. We should have had a whole show on that.
We could do a whole show on that.
We have a whole show on that. The 5 P's for taking control of procrastination. The stress levels in the US, that has nothing to do with COVID at all. COVID increased the stress level, but the stress levels in our country were already very, very high. And this is just a few of the articles that she has here on our site. And again, amazing video content. Learn to live deliberately. I love it. I love it. Get on here, get on her site, hit the contact button just like that, and reach out to Lynn.
Yes, please do. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's a real simple process. I mean, she's an expert in so many different areas, not just on recovering from PTSD, from a TBI and PTSD, but your overall health and wellness mindset. She just is a wealth of resource to help you become the better version of yourself that you want to be. Or if you're saying, well, Laquita, I think I'm a great version already. That's great. You always need to have strong, healthy individuals in your circle, and a coach always needs a coach. So
yes, we do.
A coach always needs a coach. We're not an army of one. We have to have people in our circle, in our power teams, that can help us grow and develop and get to our next levels. Vic and I talk about that all the time, and Lynn is definitely a valuable resource in that area.
And Laquita, like, you're not going to hear, unfortunately, you might hear every now and then on the social mainstream media what you can do to boost your immune system, but it's 1 in like 500 stories, and it's that big. And so, and I am an integrative health coach as well. So I do have that aspect, but there are things we can do, simple things, to keep our immune system strong. And, the vast majority of people that are suffering or dying from COVID, the vast majority have a vitamin D deficiency. So there's one thing that's really easy now. I would check with your doctor, because it's easy to overdo it on you. Like, don't like, make sure you're getting the right level. But, you know, it's vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. There are certain things that we can do that, and go out for a walk, get your D that way. If you know, it's, get in front of plants, because there are certain chemicals in the plants that get into your bloodstream and support your immune system.
Yeah.
So many really easy things that we can do that unfortunately don't get the main coverage.
They don't get that many. Yeah. Just like we're not being told how many people recover. I mean, 500,000 people that have lost their lives. That's an amazing number. And that's a lot of people. One person is too many. But I really would wish that the media and medical experts who are allowed to be on the media, medical experts that are allowed to be on the media, would be able to come and tell the results of the people who have overcome this terrible thing, how they overcome this terrible thing, and show that those numbers are actually far greater than the numbers that we currently are looking at. But that's another show for another day. We want to turn off that CVN and not overstress ourselves and tune into things that will bring us positivity, encouragement, and help to build our faith, right? You talked about that a lot at the beginning of the broadcast. Our faith is necessary. It's the most important component. And based off of your faith system and how grounded you are there, will help you continue to move forward in those next levels and overcome those fears that are being projected onto us. So, but like I said, that's another show for another day. Totally different topic. Don't want to lose my internet rights today. So
yeah, oh man, we could have a whole
I don't want the social media gurus to take away my pass to the internet today. So we'll save that for another conversation. Well, Lynn, it's been amazing having you on. But before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers this evening?
I would. You have a really good, I think, good bunch of viewers that have some faith. If you know someone that is struggling, or if you find yourself struggling, please call somebody, or please check in on your neighbor. I've lost 2 friends to suicide in the last 7 months. Wow. Because the fear overcame them.
Wow.
You know, call a pastor, get in touch with, there's suicide prevention programs. I'm not saying we're all going to get to that point, but, write a letter to somebody, like connect, like I've heard from clients that they are forgetting, and I've heard from a lot of coaches too, that people are reporting that they're forgetting how to be social. And wow. It's a very scary feeling for them. Wow. And I can understand, because we're doing this. It's like Zoom. And that's great, because we get to connect with people all around the world that we would never have interactions with. And I think that's been so amazing for a lot of people, because when we're being divided, us against them, this country against that country, but we're talking people from all these other countries that really just want the same basic things that we do. We want to be free. We want to be healthy. We want to laugh. Even like if you're with your kids, if any of y'all have kids, just start laughing. And have your spouse start laughing, and just see what happens, because you can't help but start laughing. And it's just like, pretty soon you're laughing for no reason at all. But so just, little things that can lift somebody's spirits, just because we are so, I hate to say we're so divided, but it's just, it's on so many levels. And it saddens me. So I think this is the time that we need each other. And I know that sounds so cliche, but we really do. We really do.
I can't speak to the rest of Texas, but I can speak about my community that I live in. And yes, we did get, we were heavily impacted by the winter storm that came through. And the thing that was so many different things just encouraged me. My daughter loves Facebook, and so she's in tons of groups. And so the individual people themselves, individual citizens, individual churches, organizations, the city itself, the school district, when they were putting out necessary supplies and what people needed, that was going out across social media, and the community came together as whole. Local businesses, on the times that they were opening up, a couple local businesses just gave away the food. Yes, each person had a limit, but it does me no good. I can have $10 million in my checking account and $565 million in other assets, but if I can't get to a store, if my power doesn't work, my water isn't on, my money does me no good at all, but my family still needs to eat. And so many people came together and provided what their neighbor needed. It was awesome. Free two bagel bites here in Killeen. Shout out to them. They gave away tons of free things, and with their ability to do it. And a couple of the pizza places did that as well. You know, people giving out water, people giving out food, churches opening themselves up when they have the power and the ability to do it. Never mind my vulnerability and is my insurance going to cover it? They opened up so that people from all walks of life, all faith systems could come together because they needed a place to live in that time, because things just weren't right. So our city did a very good job, I think, just my perspective, did a very good job of coming together. It's citizens helping its citizens until things can get back in a better way. So you're right. We do need each other. It's not cliche. It's the truth.
Yeah.
We need each other. Yeah,
it is. It's so true. And yeah, if any of you guys are interested, please go to my website and sign up for my, just sign up and reach out to me, and think about getting out, my ebook and just please, check me out on LinkedIn. It's going to be a really good class. I am working on another program. It's not going to be up for a few months though. And that is Coaching Gone Rogue. And that is going to be some serious coaching. No more excuses. This is the time. If you're serious about, your health and well-being, that's going to be even more like this program, Get Unstuck and Powered Up, is kind of what I already discussed. But this Health Gone Rogue, Coaching Gone Rogue, we're really going to amp it up even more, and talk about some, maybe not so well-known approaches to nutrition, to getting unstuck. So it's going to be a rogue series. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's off the beaten path, but it's solutions. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. So do keep us updated, and we'll keep our viewers plugged in and directing them towards the Coaching Gone Rogue, as well as Get Unstuck.
Get unstuck and powered up.
Powered up. Absolutely. Well, Lynn, it's been fabulous. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you so much to our viewers across Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Twitter as well. Thank you guys again. Please continue to like and share this broadcast. Next week, we'll be right back here at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll have another amazing guest here on Create Your Future Self Live. Until next time, this is LaQuita Monley, and you guys have a great day. Take care.